Episode 10, A Money-Making Plan. Will was both grateful and impressed by Keith. He grabbed his girlfriend's hand and followed Keith out of the store. From the beginning to the end of the encounter, Keith hadn't even looked at Harper once. It was as if she was as invisible as the air, completely ignored. Harper was so angry that her face turned beet red. She looked at Keith walking away calmly, then turned to her stocky boyfriend with a face full of anger and regret. Tears welled up in her eyes. Keith didn't spare a thought for her. He made an excuse to send Will's girlfriend away and said to Will, "How you been recently?" Will smiled ruefully at the question. You know how it is, bro. I barely got any education. My family's got nothing. What can I do?" Will looked Keith in the eye. "Thank you for today. Don't worry. I'll make sure to pay you back." Keith smiled and shook his head. "There's no hurry to get the money. We can talk about it another time." Keith changed the topic. "So what are your plans for the future?" Will said with a bitter face. "Honestly, dude, I have no idea." Suddenly, Will's expression lightened and he asked, "Hey, you seem to be doing well. How have you managed it? Maybe I can help you out? I'll do whatever you need, man. Seriously, anything." Keith looked at the man beside him. He had helped Will today, first because they'd been like brothers in high school, and second, because he'd already formed an idea in his mind. After a moment of silence, Keith said earnestly, "I plan to find a way to earn money, but it could end up being a total waste of time and effort. So if you want to be a part of it, you have to make sure you think it through properly first." Will could see that Keith wasn't joking, and his expression changed. He nodded and said, "If you don't have enough capital, I'll think of a way to get it for my family. What's your plan, bro?" Ding! You fulfilled Will's wish to start a business with you. Wish value +1. Current wish value progress 8 of 10. Keith smiled at the notification. If the system rewarded him, it meant that Will did want to work with him. Although Will had never been a star pupil in high school, it didn't mean that he was an idiot. On the contrary, he had street smarts and a pragmatic, common sense way of looking at things, which would serve him well in the real world. Keith wanted to earn money, but he needed help to do so. Will was the ideal candidate. Keith smiled and patted him on the shoulder. "How about this? I'll give you $200 to help me look around and find a store. If you find the right place, I can start the negotiations with the other party." Will looked surprised. "What kind of store are you planning to open? What areas do you want me to look into?" Keith was even more satisfied when he heard Will's questions, and he could see his friend was already working out the logistics in his head. He transferred $200 to Will's account and said, "I thought of a few ideas already. You don't have to worry about the money. Just look for a store. Something around 1,000 square feet should do it. And the most important thing is finding the right location. But no stress if you can't find something suitable." Will nodded and said, "Give me 3 days, I'll get it done." "Okay." Keith patted his shoulder. "As for salary and benefits, we'll talk about it once we've got the store. I've still got some things to pick up, so I better head out." Will nodded and watched in a daze as Keith left. Keith was still the same old Keith, but Will felt that something about him was different. He'd become calmer and had a new air of confidence about him. Will admired him, but at the same time, he was a little afraid. By the time he came out of the registration office, Keith was in a good mood. He'd successfully signed up for the college entrance exams, and he'd even managed to help a cute young woman and gain another wish value. All in all, It was a pleasant surprise. Keith thought things over as he made his way to the academic bookstore. He'd broken Blake's nose last night. Knowing Blake's temper, there's no way he wouldn't be coming for revenge, and this time, he'd bring more than just a few bodyguards with him. Keith knew he needed to increase his strength as soon as possible. Right now, he had 5 free attribute points. After hesitating for a moment, he decided to add 2 to power and 3 to dexterity. With that, his attributes panel showed the following numbers: power, 13 points; dexterity, 17 points; stamina, 11 points; charm, 1 point; wish value, 9 of 10. He now had 13 power, which was already over the average for an adult man. It meant his strength was at about the same level as a fitness coach, and now he had 17 dexterity too. That was impressive. To put it bluntly, his current speed was equivalent to the best sprinter in the world. What's more, as long as his body was flexible and his reaction speed was fast, he'd be able to improve his ability to evade the attack. Ordinary people, even those with weapons, wouldn't be able to touch him. Well, he wasn't fast enough to dodge bullets. Yet. His injury recovery skill meant he could temporarily ignore the problem of stamina, but he knew in the long run, this was an important attribute too. It wasn't just about fighting. The stamina attribute was related to all kinds of endurance. Keith thought that if he ever got a girlfriend, well, his stamina would be important then, too. He let out a long sigh as he felt the warm current flow into his body. The only way he could feel safe was if he increased his strength. As he walked down the street, a large dog suddenly barked beside him. Keith frowned and threw a coin. Ding! Throwing proficiency activated. Animals had their own instincts and knew better than to anger a creature stronger than them. The guard dog's ear was clipped by Keith's coin, and it snarled and looked ready to pounce. But when it saw Keith's cold eyes, the dog cowered and ran away. Ding! You've neutralized the guard dog's wish to threaten you. Attribute point, +1. The system notification reminded Keith of something. Each day, he could obtain 2 attribute points and 2 wish values from non-human beings. This was something that the system gave him for free. Without hesitation, he opened the eye of detection. A moment later, in a park, not far from the bookstore, he casually fed the fish in the lake. The system's notification sounded again. Ding! Your wish slot is full. You may now make a wish. Ding! System has detected the host's good behavior in the past 2 days. Therefore, system grants the host a bonus of 1 wish without restrictions. Keith was a little puzzled as he thought back over the past 2 days. He'd broken a person's nose, hit a bunch of different people, and scared a dog. Is that really considered good behavior? Was this a wishing system or a wicked system? The reward gave Keith a bold idea. After hesitating for a moment, he asked excitedly, System, since I can make a wish without any restrictions, give me $10 billion. Ding dong! The system cannot produce money, but system can transfer $10 billion into your account from other accounts across the world. If you choose this wish, many people will go bankrupt to fulfill it. Moreover, you may be committing a crime. Please consider your wish carefully. Keith's mouth fell open in shock. When he thought about what the system said, he realized that it made a lot of sense. $10 billion could cause a lot of trouble.